Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about Solaris. And this movie came out in 1972 and is directed by Andrei Tarkovsky. And this is the second movie that I've seen from him. The first movie that I saw from him was Stalker, and I love Stalker. I totally watched that again. And this movie I enjoyed overall, but compared to Stalker, just not nearly as good for me. I can see a lot of people watching this movie and finding it really boring. I do have my own criticisms with it, but overall, I do like what it was going for, and I liked the music in the movie when it did have music. Most of the movie doesn't have music, but when we do get it, I do feel as though it was well used and complemented the tone very well, and the movie looks beautiful. Every shot is just, you have to look at it. You can't take your eyes off of it. I was also enjoying how quickly things got started, and it doesn't really explain things that are unnecessary to the story and characters. It just gets right into what you would want based off of the concept and like the plot description of the movie. It's like, oh, we're getting to this, not necessarily the quickest, but still doesn't feel as though it's getting distracted with subplots and just dragging the movie down because of that. And the visual effects for the time looked pretty good, and I also enjoyed the sets and just the production of everything in terms of like what it was going for, and it still looked pretty cool. And the movie definitely picked up a lot for me when we got to the spaceship. I was like, ooh, this is kind of cool. There's a lot of mystery going around, and you don't really get many answers in terms of like what's going on. And eventually things do get answered, and you do get some things brought to your attention, and they do make you think about the movie. And it also does a good job at making you experience what it must be like to lose your mind. And I love that part about it. And I love the scenes with the main character talking to another character. I can't say their purpose in the story because I don't want to spoil anything. But when it was those scenes, I thought the movie was pretty great, and I was really attached to what was going on. And one issue that I had towards the beginning was just the rain. It just didn't feel like rain. It just felt like someone turned on the sprinklers. But I was like, I can forgive that. And my biggest fear going into this movie was the runtime. I was like, this movie is almost 3 hours long, but Stalker is like that. And I was thinking, okay, if we're going to have a slower paced movie, but there's always something to keep me chewing and keep me interested in it, I'll be fine. Both movies have almost the same runtime. I was like, okay, let's give this a shot. And I feel as though a 2-hour version of this movie would have been preferable, because I personally just did not feel as though the runtime was justified. And it also got pretty repetitive after a certain point. Like I was just being shown the same ideas over and over again, and characters would talk about certain things. But I do feel as though if it was just shortened, or the things that it was like just showing me were just held back, or didn't be explicitly shown in a way where you're forced to think about things in a certain way, I feel as though that would have helped the movie a lot, because there are parts of this movie, especially towards the end, where I feel as though they showed too much. And I feel as though if it just ended a little bit sooner, that would have been the perfect ending for me. But instead, it just kept going. And I was very disappointed with that. And this movie is split into two parts, part one and part two. And I personally prefer part two over part one. And I think I wouldn't mind part one as much if I had just a better understanding of what I was supposed to be following, because there's only so much you can show with the main character just walking around the spaceship with no dialogue, because the things that we're thinking about is always going to be the same, like what's going on. Did you see something, hear something? And that can only be the case for so long before it starts to get stale for me, and unfortunately that did happen. And in the second half, I was getting kind of bored, not as much in the second half as opposed to the first half, but also for different reasons. because it was just being repetitive after a certain point when it was not dialogue. It was just showing you as similar things. And it's like, okay, we've seen and thought about these things already. Not in terms of like before the movie began, but rather just in the movie already. We've thought about these things, probably. And if we haven't, then you'll probably benefit from a rewatch if we were to not to have it repeated to us so many times. But unfortunately, that's just something that really drags down the pacing for me, because it just repeats itself, and I am sometimes confused as to what I'm supposed to be following. And those are just my biggest issues with this movie, is just the runtime. And it just doesn't always know what it's supposed to be doing with that runtime. And while watching this movie, I was kind of wondering if this movie had inspired other movies like Annihilation. I'm not sure if that movie took any inspiration from this film, but I was thinking about that a little bit, especially like the ending of Annihilation. If you've seen that movie and this, you might know what I'm talking about. And overall, I enjoyed 2/3 of the movie, and the rest of the movie I was kind of bored by. At least 2/3 of the movie. But I would recommend this movie. I do think it's worth watching. I haven't seen the remake yet, but I might at some point. But I thought this movie was good. Just probably not a movie that I will rewatch as soon as I will with Stalker. I'm much more likely to revisit that movie. And this one was good, just not as great. So with all that being said, I'm going to give Solaris a 7 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos. As always, if you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below you thought of Solaris, and my social media links, they will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see you when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery, or Knives Out 3, as you might want to call it. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching, and have a great day.